Welcome to the Running Library. Today we're breaking down How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Let's start with the strongest idea first. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie is often described as a book about being likable. But that's not the real point. The real point is influence. How to move through life getting cooperation instead of resistance, building relationships instead of resentment, and persuading people without forcing them. Carnegie's central claim is simple. Most people are driven less by logic than by emotion, especially the emotion of feeling important. If you can genuinely help people feel seen, respected, and valued, you unlock an almost unfair advantage in conversation, leadership, sales, family life, any situation where humans are involved. This isn't about manipulation. In fact, the book repeatedly warns, if you fake it, people eventually feel it. The win in the title isn't winning an argument, it's winning trust. Let's break the book down into its major ideas, and more importantly, how to apply them without sounding artificial. First section, fundamental techniques in handling people. The first principle is one of the most difficult. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Carnegie argues that criticism almost never produces lasting change. It usually produces defensiveness. Even when you're correct, the other person doesn't experience your correction as help. They experience it as an attack on their identity. Think about what happens when you tell someone, "You always do this wrong." The conversation is no longer about the mistake. It's about whether they're incompetent, careless, or disrespectful. Their brain goes into self-defense mode, excuses, counterattacks, or silent resentment. Carnegie's point isn't that mistakes should be ignored. It's that correction is most effective when the other person can keep their dignity. Second principle, give honest and sincere appreciation. This is not flattery. Flattery is cheap praise that tries to get something. Appreciation is specific recognition that's deserved. Most people are starving for acknowledgement. Not applause, acknowledgement. They want to know their effort mattered, that someone noticed. A powerful way to apply this is to make appreciation concrete. Instead of "great job," say, "I noticed you stayed late to finish that. It made the whole project smoother." Third principle, arouse in the other person an eager want. This is Persuasion 101. People don't move for your reasons, they move for theirs. If you're trying to convince someone, your coworker, your spouse, your team, don't start with what you want. Start with what they want and connect your request to their goals. Instead of "I need you to do this," it becomes "here's how doing this helps you." Less stress later, more credit, a smoother week. Now the second part, 6 ways to make people like you. The first is deceptively simple. Become genuinely interested in other people. Carnegie says you can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in others than in 2 years by trying to get others interested in you. The practical skill here is asking questions and listening like the answers matter. People can feel the difference between "I'm waiting for my turn to talk" and "I'm actually curious." Second, smile, not a fake grin. A warm expression that signals safety. It's hard to underestimate how much a relaxed face changes an interaction. Third, remember that a person's name is, to that person, the sweetest and most important sound. Using someone's name, naturally, not excessively, signals recognition. It says, "You're not just a role to me, you're a person." Fourth, be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. Most people think they're listening when they're really just preparing a response. Carnegie's advice is to listen with the goal of understanding, not winning. A simple technique, reflect back what you heard. So you're saying the deadline isn't the issue. It's that the requirements keep changing. That one sentence can reduce tension instantly. Fifth, talk in terms of the other person's interests. This is not pandering. It's meeting people where they are. If someone cares about efficiency, talk about efficiency. If they care about quality, talk about quality. Same idea, different doorway. Sixth, make the other person feel important. And do it sincerely. This is the heartbeat of the book. People will forgive small mistakes if they feel respected. But they won't tolerate constant disrespect, even if you're right. Now the third part, how to win people to your way of thinking. Carnegie starts with a counterintuitive rule. The only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. Arguments create opponents. Even if you win, you often lose the relationship or the other person's willingness to cooperate. If you want influence, trade the urge to prove for the urge to understand. Next, show respect for the other person's opinions. Never say, "You're wrong." That sentence is like lighting a fuse. It doesn't matter what comes after. The other person stops listening. A better approach is to say, I may be missing something. Can you walk me through how you see it? Or, that's interesting. Here's what I'm seeing on my side. Another key principle. If you're wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. This disarms people. It removes the sport of catching you. It builds credibility, and it often makes the other person soften because now they don't need to attack. Then, begin in a friendly way. Tone determines outcome. If you start a conversation like a prosecutor, you'll get a defense attorney. If you start like a collaborator, you get collaboration. Carnegie also recommends getting the other person saying yes, yes, immediately. The idea is to build agreement on shared facts and shared goals before moving to the disputed part. For example, we both want this project to succeed. We both want the client happy. The question is how we structure the next week. Next, let the other person do a great deal of the talking. People don't resist their own conclusions. If someone talks their way into an idea, they feel ownership. This leads to another principle. Let the other person feel the idea is theirs. If you want someone to adopt a plan, don't present it as your masterpiece. Ask questions that guide them to it. What if we tried it this way? How would you handle the risk? Then, try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view. This is not agreeing, it's understanding. You can say, if I were in your position, I'd probably feel the same. That sentence alone can turn conflict into problem solving. Carnegie also says, be sympathetic with the other person's ideas and desires. Again, sympathy isn't surrender. It's acknowledging emotion as real. I get why that's frustrating. People calm down when they feel heard. Another persuasive tool, appeal to the nobler motives. Most people want to see themselves as fair, generous, competent, loyal. When you frame a request in a way that aligns with that self-image, you get cooperation. Finally, dramatize your ideas. Facts are important, but stories stick. Examples stick. A vivid comparison makes your point memorable. And throw down a challenge. Carnegie notes that people respond to a sense of significance. If you frame a task as an opportunity to rise to a standard rather than a chore, you often get better effort. Now the fourth part, be a leader. How to change people without giving offense or arousing resentment. First, begin with praise and honest appreciation. If you need to correct someone, don't open with the hammer. Start by acknowledging what they do well. This makes the correction feel like coaching, not condemnation. Second, call attention to people's mistakes indirectly. Instead of, you messed this up, you might say, let's double-check this section, or, I think we may have missed a step here. Third, talk about your own mistakes before criticizing the other person. This is powerful because it creates equality. I've made this mistake before. Here's what helped me. Now the person isn't being judged, they're being guided. Fourth, ask questions instead of giving direct orders. Questions create buy-in. What do you think the best next step is? How can we prevent this next time? Fifth, let the other person save face. This is huge. People will fight to protect their dignity. If you give them a graceful exit, you preserve the relationship and still fix the problem. Sixth, praise the slightest improvement. People grow toward the version of themselves that gets recognized. If you want change, notice progress early. Seventh, give the other person a fine reputation to live up to. If you treat someone as capable, responsible, and trustworthy, they often rise to that expectation. I'm counting on your attention to detail here. You're one of the few people who really catches the small stuff. Eighth, use encouragement. Make the fault seem easy to correct. Instead of, this is a disaster, it becomes, this is fixable, we're close, here's the adjustment. Ninth, make the other person happy about doing the thing you suggest. Connect the task to their pride, their growth, their goals. Make it feel like an opportunity, not a punishment. So, what's the modern takeaway? How to win friends and influence people isn't about becoming a different person. It's about becoming more intentional with human nature. If you remember one thing, remember this. People don't want to be corrected as much as they want to be understood. They don't want to be handled. They want to be respected. Try a simple challenge for the next 24 hours. 1. Don't criticize anyone. Replace criticism with a question. 2. Give one piece of specific, sincere appreciation. 3. In your next disagreement, summarize the other person's view so accurately they say, yes, that's exactly what I mean. Do that and you'll feel the shift. Less friction, more cooperation, and influence that doesn't cost you your integrity. That's Dale Carnegie's real promise, not tricks. Principles that make relationships work. If you want the full book, it's linked below. Why pay for overpriced audiobook providers when you can listen here for free? Subscribe to @The Running Library for more full-length breakdowns.